Good afternoon. I want to take an opportunity to tell you a short story, and I'll try to get through it without getting choked up, because it has a little bit of a personal relevance to me. So I want to tell you the story about a young Norwegian man named Mats Sten. He was born with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, which, if you don't know, is the lethal form of muscular dystrophy. I guess is the best way to say it. It's a genetic disorder that causes the muscles in the body to atrophy and eventually die. So Mats was diagnosed at the age of 4, and over the course of his life, he was unfortunately victim to watching his body betray him, and he ended up in a wheelchair, and eventually the disease stole his ability to even breathe. He passed away at the age of 25 in 2024. Shortly thereafter, his family began receiving condolence letters from people they had never met. And as Robert Sten said at his son's funeral, we believed that he lived a lonely and isolated life without experiencing love or being important or making a difference in the lives of other people, because that's all we saw. What they didn't know was that while Mats was stuck in his chair in this world, he had created another world where he could run, swim, jump, and even find love, and it was completely digital. He was able to leave the world in which he was stuck in this chair and explore a number of relationships, and profoundly impact the people who were lucky enough to get to know him. And as he said in his online diary, I leave this world and spend most of my time in a distant world called Azeroth. In there, my chains are broken, and I can be whoever I want to be. I know that most people will see games as a waste of time, but I want to ask you a simple question. When was the last time you had a meaningful conversation with your children or your friends? And given just how busy we can all be, especially at this time of year, I want to ask you to take just a few hours a week and sit down with your family and friends and explore the world of make-believe and make some of the best memories you can. I've been playing role-playing games for 30 years, of all types, not just Dungeons & Dragons. I've even started building my own game. While the game I'm building is based on Dungeons & Dragons, I've drawn inspiration from movies and television, novels, you name it. And I'd like to show you that these games can bring your family and friends together and really help you just bring everything and make some of those best memories. Besides just being with your family and friends, which is great in and of itself, recently there's been a number of studies that have proven that role-playing games can help with mental disorders, particularly a study by the National Center for Biotechnology Information found that using role-playing games, they can help those that suffer from anxiety, depression, dissociative identity disorder, and nightmares after just a few hours. Additionally, the International Journal of Mental Health and Addiction found that games such as D&D can help with mental health, education, and even those with disabilities. If you're inclined to watch a documentary, The Remarkable Life of Iblen on Netflix goes through Matt's story, and it tells you exactly how he was able to build that world and what he was able to build with his virtual life. Dungeons & Dragons is more than just a singular game now. It's probably the most recognizable name in the genre, but it's far from the only game available. There's a multitude of games in the market now. Some that use a variety of dice, some use D6, some use a D10, others use different dice like a D20. You can find a traditional D&D game online for free. It's completely free on their website. You don't pay a dime. If you wanted to play Lord of the Rings, that's available, either as its own game or as a module within Dungeons & Dragons. But you could also play a game like Vampire, where you play a vampire and you have to hide the fact that vampires even exist from the rest of the world. Or you can play traditional Dungeons & Dragons, or you could play Call of Cthulhu and play a Lovecraftian horror story, or post-apocalyptic, a hero fantasy game. You could play Star Wars, Star Trek, H.P. Lovecraft. I'm sure there's a Harry Potter game out there if you looked hard enough. You can play pretty much every genre of everything. The influence of role-playing games has just moved beyond the basement now. You have the emergence of groups like Critical Role, which is a group of voice actors who got together and just started playing Dungeons & Dragons to pass some time, and then decided to televise it on Twitch. And that blew up so that it became not just a home game of Dungeons and Dragons. It became an Amazon Prime TV show called The Legend of Vox Machina. It morphed into them creating their own role-playing game. It has become its own thing. Thousands of people log in every day every week to watch their next stream. But with role-playing games becoming far more mainstream, it's become even easier to get into these games. With Stranger Things coming back, it's really brought back into focus just how mainstream Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games really are. So I'd like to ask you to take the opportunity to get your family together, get your friends together, and just play a game. You know, it doesn't have to be Dungeons and Dragons. Could be Call of Cthulhu, Vampire, whatever fantasy or subtype of genre you and your family get into, or your friends. Give it a shot. It's not the geeky thing from the 80s that we all kind of thought it was. There's an honest-to-God opportunity there to have meaningful conversations, to explore concepts that you can't explore in general conversation. I can tell you personally that I've learned more about my friends and family playing these games, than I ever could have if we had sat down and had a conversation. The way that people attack problems, the way that people address challenges. It shows how people think more than just a conversation could ever do. So with this holiday season and the stress is coming up, take a couple hours and just sit down and play a game, and you'll be amazed at what you can learn and how much fun you can have. It really is a blast just sitting there and goofing off. Yeah, thank you.